My wife was going on a business trip with her male boss for 2 months. For weeks, I played the part of the oblivious, supportive husband. She thought I actually believed the lies she spun, unaware that I had already learned everything through a mutual friend. They were staying in the same hotel room, enjoying candlelight dinners, and touring romantic hotspots, all while she whined to me over the phone about how exhausting the work was. I comforted her, my voice steady, while I packed her belongings into boxes, one by one. 2 months later, she returned, glowing with satisfaction, a new ring on her finger that I certainly hadn't bought her. The moment she pushed open the door, she saw me sitting on the sofa, flanked by her parents and mine. Spread across the coffee table were printed photos of her and her boss getting intimate at the hotel. She collapsed to the floor on the spot. When I got home from work that evening, Jessica Miller was standing in front of the full-length mirror, trying on her third outfit. Usually, she was incredibly lazy. She could spend an entire weekend nesting in her pajamas. But today she had turned the closet inside out, 7 or 8 dresses discarded on the floor. The company is sending Director Reynolds and me to Miami for a business trip, she said, staring at her reflection, fingers toying with her freshly curled hair. We're closing a huge deal. 2 months. I set down my briefcase and walked up behind her. 2 months. Yeah, this project is critical. Gavin, Director Reynolds, is leading the team personally, and I'm a core member. Her eyes were frighteningly bright, her hand twisting nervously around a lock of hair. I had seen her excitement when she got promoted, seen her joy when she got her year-end bonus. None of it compared to this exaggerated display. She turned around, standing on tiptoes to wrap her arms around my neck. Honey, this is my chance to move up. You support me, right? Her perfume was applied 3 times heavier than usual. I nodded and said, Of course I support you. She pecked me on the cheek, then turned back to rummage through her suitcase. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching as she stuffed 3 sets of black lace lingerie into the bottom layer of the bag. I had never seen her wear those. The tags were still on. They were brand new. Then she pulled out a bottle of Chanel No. 5, carefully wrapping it in bubble wrap. I asked her why she was packing so much for work. She didn't even look up, saying a woman needed to maintain her image when traveling. I didn't say another word. At 6 the next morning, I drove her to the airport. Gavin Reynolds was already waiting at the curb, leaning against a sleek BMW 7 Series. When he saw Jessica, he immediately got out to help with her luggage. Jessica smiled and said, Sorry to trouble you, Gavin. Gavin said it was no trouble at all, his hand lingering on the handle of her suitcase, and her hand for an unnaturally long time. Jessica turned back to wave at me. Gavin nodded in my direction, wearing that smirk that every adult man understands perfectly. I sat in the car, watching them walk into the terminal, one after the other. Jessica's handbag was swaying on Gavin's shoulder. On the drive home, my mind was flooded with the images from moments ago. Her excitement, the new lingerie, the look in her eyes when she locked gazes with Gavin. I pulled over to the side of the road and called my college roommate, Marcus Cole. I need you to look into someone for me. I gave him Gavin Reynolds' name, company, and license plate number. Marcus was silent on the other end for a few seconds. Caleb, is your wife stepping out on you? I said I wasn't sure, but I needed to know the answer. Marcus said to leave it to him. He'd have info within 3 days. Hanging up, I looked at the empty passenger seat. Jessica had sat there for 4 years. Now it felt hollow. At 10 o'clock that night, Jessica initiated a FaceTime call. She was wearing a white hotel bathrobe, her hair wet. Just got out of the shower. I'm dead on my feet, she yawned, but her eyes couldn't hide the thrill. I asked which hotel she was staying at. She panned the camera around to show me the room. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a king-sized bed, 2 bottles of Evian on the nightstand. That wasn't a standard business single. The company booked us at a 5-star resort. Gavin said the core team deserves the best treatment. When she said this, she could barely suppress the smile at the corners of her mouth. I told her to get some rest and not work too hard. She hummed in agreement and said she missed me. I said I missed her too. After hanging up, I opened the iPad she left at home. We shared the same iCloud account. All photos synced automatically. The newest photo had been taken that afternoon. The beach, sunset, Jessica wearing a white sundress. In the background, you could faintly see a man's silhouette. I zoomed in on the photo and saw the watch. Rolex, black dial. The same watch Gavin Reynolds was wearing this morning. I threw the iPad onto the sofa. I walked to the balcony and lit a cigarette. I didn't smoke, but tonight I needed to. The smoke choked me, making me cough until tears streamed down my face. At 2 in the morning, I still couldn't sleep. I went to the study and dug out her marriage certificate. In the photo, Jessica's smile was so pure. I ran my finger over the image. For years ago, She said she would be good to me forever. For years later, she was wearing sexy lingerie to meet another man. I put the certificate back in the drawer. I walked to the living room and turned on all the lights. The empty house held only me. I sat on the floor, leaning against the sofa. Suddenly, I laughed. I laughed at my own stupidity, my foolishness, laughed at 4 years of devotion. When the laughter died, I wiped away the tears. I stood up and turned off all the lights. I went back to the bedroom and lay down. Before closing my eyes, I made a decision. When she came back, I was going to make her regret this. Day 3. Marcus sent over a zip file. I clicked the first photo, my finger freezing on the screen. It showed Jessica and Gavin in the lobby of the 5-star hotel. Jessica was clinging to Gavin's arm as they walked toward the elevator. Marcus had added a note under the photo. Same room, luxury ocean view suite, 1 king bed. Booking records show Gavin paid with his personal card. I clicked the second photo. The boardwalk, sunset afterglow. Jessica and Gavin wearing matching white t-shirts. Her head rested on his shoulder. His arm was around her waist. The third photo was brutal. Hotel poolside, Jessica in a bikini on a lounge chair. Gavin sat next to her, holding a bottle of sunscreen. His hand was smearing it onto her back. I threw my phone onto the table. I went to the balcony to breathe. 5 minutes later, I picked the phone back up. I continued scrolling. French restaurant, candlelight dinner, red wine, steak. Amusement park, carousel, Ferris wheel, holding hands. Trendy bookstore, Jessica leaning into Gavin's chest for a selfie. Every photo screamed at me about how happy she was. Marcus messaged, "Do you want me to keep digging?" I replied, "Yes. The more detailed, the better." He said he understood, then sent another text. "Brother, take care of yourself." I didn't reply. I opened WhatsApp. Jessica had just messaged me. "Honey, the project is going well, but I have to work late again tonight." The timestamp was 7:00 p.m. I opened the real-time location tracker Marcus sent. Jessica was currently at a high-end Japanese restaurant. Private booth, just her and Gavin. I stared at the location for 10 minutes. Then I replied, "You've worked hard. Watch your health. Don't burn out." She replied instantly, You're the best, Caleb. Love you." I looked at those 2 words, love you. Suddenly, they felt incredibly filthy. I put down the phone and went to the kitchen to cook myself some pasta. Halfway through eating, I remember Jessica loved my spaghetti bolognese the most. She used to say my pasta was the best in the world. I pushed the bowl away. I couldn't swallow another bite. Day 5. I started organizing the household finances. The deed to the condo was in my name, bought before the marriage. I was still paying the mortgage, $800 a month for my salary. The car was bought after the wedding. I paid the down payment, and I paid the monthly notes. But the title was in Jessica's name. She had said a woman should have her own car, and I agreed without thinking twice. I pulled up my salary statements from the last 4 years. Every month when my paycheck hit, I transferred the full amount to Jessica. She managed the money. I only kept $500 for incidental expenses. I opened her credit card statements. In the last 3 months, spending had spiked. An Hermes scarf, $500. Dior lipsticks, 5 of them, $200. A La Mer skincare set, $200. And various lingerie purchases, all expensive imported brands. I tallied it up line by line. In 3 months, she had spent nearly $18,000. My salary plus bonuses came to about $3,500 a month. She had single-handedly blown through half a year of my income. I printed out the statements, stapled them one by one, and put them in a file folder. I kept digging. For the hotel records, I asked a friend in the hospitality industry for help. He sent screenshots. In the last 2 months, Jessica's name appeared on the guest list of 7 different 5-star hotels locally before this trip. Every time, she was in the same room as Gavin. Once in a Valentine's-themed suite. Once in a honeymoon suite. I saved every screenshot. Marcus messaged again. I got Gavin's background. He was married. His wife was the only daughter of a local real estate tycoon. The company, the house, the cars, everything Gavin had belonged to his wife's family. Gavin was essentially a trophy husband living off his in-laws. Marcus also sent a photo. Gavin's wife, Victoria Sterling, about 35, plain-looking but with an intense aura. In the photo, she was wearing a power suit, standing on a construction site, pointing at blueprints and yelling at someone. Marcus said, "This woman has a violent temper. She's known in the circle as a tiger. Gavin is terrified of her. He acts like a compliant puppy when he's around her." I looked at the photo and smiled. This information was useful. Very useful. That night, Jessica video called again. Her face was flushed, eyes glassy with drink. "Gavin treated the team tonight. had a little red wine. She giggled at the camera, swaying a wine glass in her hand. I asked where she was. She said she was in the hotel room. I told her she'd had too much and should get to sleep early. She suddenly leaned close to the camera lens and said, "Caleb, I miss you." I said, "I miss you too." She giggled. "Wait until I get back. I'll make it up to you." I said, "Okay." After hanging up the video call, I opened the photo Marcus had just sent. The timestamp was 10 minutes ago. Hotel hallway. Gavin was holding a drunken Jessica, guiding her toward a room. Jessica was holding her high heels in her hand. She was barefoot, practically draped over Gavin. They pushed open a door and disappeared at the end of the hall. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I deleted the "I miss you" text Jessica had sent. I typed, "Get some rest. You have work tomorrow." Send. Put down the phone. I went to the balcony and stood there for an hour. The wind was strong, stinging my eyes. When I went back inside, I grabbed several cardboard boxes from the closet. I started packing Jessica's things. Clothes, shoes, makeup, jewelry. I folded each item and placed it in a box. My movements were slow, meticulous. With every item I packed, I mentally said goodbye to the past. Goodbye to this 4-year marriage. Goodbye to the happiness I thought I had. Goodbye to the woman I once loved. I packed until 3 a.m., filling 8 boxes. I lined them up in the living room. Neat, straight, a perfect row. Now I want to take a shower. I turned the water on full blast, letting it pound against me. I leaned against the tiles and slowly slid down into a crouch. Closed my eyes. Tears mixed with the water running down my face. I couldn't tell which was the water and which were the tears. Week 2 of the business trip. Jessica's social media became increasingly brazen. I checked her Instagram and found she had restricted me. She set up a custom privacy setting, specifically blocking me and both sets of parents. But I could see everything she posted using a burner account. Post 1. Amusement park selfie. She and Gavin sitting on a carousel. Caption. Rare moment of relaxation. Life needs little rituals. In the comments, her colleagues were teasing. Jessica and director Reynolds look so cute together. She replied, "Haha, don't start rumors. We're just work partners." Post 2. Aquarium. A shot of her and Gavin from behind, holding hands in front of the massive tank. Caption. The world is big. I want to see it with the right person. Someone commented, "Where's your husband?" She didn't reply to that one. Post 3. Influencer famous restaurant. A couple set menu on the table. She was raising a wine glass. Opposite her was Gavin raising his. Caption. Good food, beautiful scenery. Life is worth it. I screenshotted every single post. Saved them one by one, noting the timestamps. Marcus messaged, "Did you see her Instagram?" I said, "I saw it." He said, "Ideally, she's lost her mind. Flaunting the affair publicly." I said, "Let her be crazy. The more evidence, the better." Marcus sent another video. It showed Jessica and Gavin on a hotel balcony. They were wearing matching bathrobes. Gavin had his arm around Jessica's waist as they looked at the night view. Jessica turned her head, stood on tiptoes. They kissed. The video was only 10 seconds long, but it was enough. I saved it to an encrypted folder. Label, hard evidence, #17. I now possessed 7 hotel booking records, 23 intimate photos, 3 videos, 1 consolidated financial statement of misappropriated funds, 15 social media screenshots, 2 witness statements Marcus had secured from hotel staff and restaurant servers. It was enough, but I wanted more. I wanted Jessica to lose so thoroughly she would never have a chance to turn things around. That afternoon, I went to a law firm to consult about the divorce. After reviewing my compiled evidence, the lawyer whistled. "Mr. Stone, this chain of evidence is watertight. The opposing party won't have any room to argue." I asked about asset division. The lawyer said the condo was premarital property, so it remained mine. The car, although bought post-marriage, was paid for primarily with my income. I could request she reimburse me for half the down payment. The $18,000 she squandered counted as dissipation of marital assets, and I could demand she pay it back. I said, "Good, prepare the divorce agreement." The lawyer said no problem, he'd have it in 3 days. I walked out of the law firm. The sky was already dark. Couples walked by hand in hand. I stood on the curb watching them for a while. Suddenly, I felt ridiculous. I used to be one of them, holding Jessica's hand, thinking the whole world belonged to us. And now, she was in Miami honeymooning with another man. I was in Chicago, alone, collecting evidence to divorce her. My phone rang. Jessica sent a voice note. "Honey, I'm exhausted today." The client was being so difficult. Her voice was dripping with that cutesy, whining tone. I opened the location pin Marcus sent. She was at a karaoke lounge. Private room, just her and Gavin. A table full of expensive liquor. I replied, rough day. Go back and rest early. She said, hum. Caleb treats me the best. I closed the chat. I transferred $7,000 to Marcus. He asked what it was for. I said, keep tracking until the day she comes back. He said, don't worry, I got this. I called my mom. Mom, come over on the 15th of next month. Bring Dad. Mom asked why. I said, important business. You'll know when you get here. Mom heard the tone in my voice and pressed, asking if something was wrong. I said, Mom, trust me. You'll understand then. Hanging up, I called my father-in-law. Dad, come over to our place with Mom on the 15th next month. Jessica comes back that day. Her dad said sure. They missed their daughter anyway. I said, it's a date then. I leaned back in my car seat, closed my eyes. The countdown had begun. 28 days left. In 28 days, I was going to make Jessica pay the price. I found a former colleague of Jessica's, a woman in her 30s who used to be in Jessica's department before quitting. I met her at a coffee shop. Gavin Reynolds? What's his reputation like at the company? She lifted her coffee, scoffing. Total scumbag. Sexual harassment and coercing female subordinates is an open secret. Everyone just turns a blind eye. I asked why. She said because Gavin's sales numbers were good. He made the company a lot of money. Upper management didn't want to deal with the mess as long as the cash flowed. Your wife, Jessica, he hooked her too, didn't he? She looked at me, sympathy in her eyes. I nodded. She sighed. Gavin targets the young, pretty ones. Sweet talk, promotions, raises, material gifts. Once the girls get starry-eyed, they take the bait. When he gets bored, he kicks them to the curb and finds the next one. I asked if his wife knew. She laughed. No, how could she not? Mrs. Sterling, Victoria. Her temper is explosive. Last year, a female employee got involved with Gavin. Victoria found out, stormed into the office, and slapped the girl twice right in front of everyone. Dragged Gavin home and reportedly made him kneel on the hardwood floor all night. That girl resigned the next day, left with her tail between her legs. Hearing this, a plan formed in my mind. Can you help me contact Victoria Sterling? She looked at me, her eyes lighting up. You want her to handle Gavin and your wife? I said, yes. She clapped her hands. That is savage. I love it. I don't have Victoria's number, but I know her best friend. I can pull some strings, but you have to promise me one thing. I asked what? She said, destroy Gavin Reynolds' reputation. I said that was exactly what I intended to do. She smiled and said, deal. 3 days later, Marcus sent a message. Following my instructions, he had anonymously sent a portion of the evidence regarding Jessica and Gavin to Victoria Sterling. Photos, videos, room records, spending receipts. All zipped up and sent to Victoria's private email. The subject line read, what your husband is doing during his business trip in Miami. Marcus said, email read. Victoria saw it and booked a flight immediately. She flies to Miami tomorrow afternoon. I said good. Keep watching. Record everything. That night, Jessica video called as usual. She was wearing a silk slip, sitting on the bed with a face mask on. Honey, 2 more weeks and I'll be back. I miss you to death. She blew a kiss, smiling sweetly. I said, I miss you too. I bought you a gift, waiting for you here. She asked what it was. I said, it's a secret. You'll see when you get back. She whined that she wanted to know now. I said, nope, save the surprise for the end. She pouted, calling me mean. I smiled and said, be good and work hard. I'm waiting at home. After hanging up, I opened the folder. Inside sat the divorce agreement, perfectly aligned. The lawyer had it ready, just waiting for Jessica to come back and sign. I also contacted a few close friends and relatives. My cousin Lily, who worked in operations at a tech company. She was a wizard with social media and had a wide network. I told her the situation. She was furious, cursing Jessica for being shameless. Caleb, don't worry. I will make her socially radioactive. I said, don't be rash. Wait for my signal. She said, got it. I'm ready. I also contacted 2 of my college buddies, both business owners, guys with some pull locally. I explained the situation and asked them to come over as witnesses. They agreed, saying they wanted to help me vent my anger. I said, plenty of chances to vent later. No rush. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Just waiting for Jessica. Just waiting for the curtain to rise on the big show. Week 4 of the trip, things started to spiral. Marcus sent an urgent message. Victoria Sterling has hit Miami. He sent a real-time location pin. Victoria was rushing toward the hotel. She had 2 bodyguards with her, looking like she was on a warpath. I watched the phone screen, my heart rate accelerating. The show was about to begin. 10 minutes later, Marcus sent a video. In the clip, Victoria stormed into the hotel lobby. She marched straight for the elevators. A staff member tried to intercept her, but was shoved aside by a bodyguard. The elevator doors closed, and the video paused. 5 minutes later, the second video arrived. Hotel hallway. Victoria stood in front of her room door. She took a deep breath, raised her hand, and knocked. No one opened. She immediately pulled out a key card. She had evidently secured a master key or spare from the front desk already. The door opened. The video was shot through the crack in the door. On the bed, Jessica and Gavin were disheveled. The sheets were scattered on the floor. They had clearly just been woken up, sitting up in a daze. The moment he saw Victoria, Gavin's face went deathly pale. Jessica screamed, pulling the duvet up to cover herself. Victoria charged in, grabbing Jessica by the hair. "You shameless homewrecker. Is destroying families fun for you?" She slapped Jessica hard across the face. Jessica's head snapped to the side, a red mark blooming instantly on her cheek. I didn't know he had a wife." Jessica cried, begging for mercy. "He said he was divorced. He lied to me." Victoria delivered another slap. "You think I believe that? Lying through your teeth." She turned to look at Gavin. "And you get your ass down here." Gavin, wrapped in a sheet, tried to explain. Victoria kicked him straight in the shin. "Explain what? Caught red-handed and you want to argue?" She pulled a stack of photos from her bag and smashed them into their faces. "Look at these yourselves. See how cozy you are." Photos scattered everywhere. All intimate shots of Jessica and Gavin. Hugging by the sea, kissing in a restaurant, cuddling by the pool. Jessica saw the photos and froze, dumbfounded. Gavin tried to pick one up. Victoria stomped on his hand with her heel. "Don't touch. You're filthy." She turned to the bodyguards. "Throw this woman's stuff out. All of it." The bodyguards started clearing Jessica's luggage. Clothes, shoes, makeup, all tossed haphazardly into her suitcase. Jessica, wrapped in a bedsheet, crouched in the corner, shivering. "Please, I'm begging you." She was sobbing uncontrollably. Victoria looked down at her. "Begging me? Why didn't you think about the consequences when you were seducing my husband? Now you know fear." She walked up to Jessica and squatted down. "I'm warning you. Get back to your hometown immediately. If I ever see you again, I'll call the cops and sue you for alienation of affection or harassment. You won't just lose your job. You'll end up in a cell." Jessica nodded frantically, saying, I'll go right now." The bodyguards dragged her suitcase to the door. Victoria pointed at the exit. "Get out." Jessica, clutching the sheet, ran out of the room barefoot. She didn't even have time to put on shoes. She crouched in the hallway, crying as she tried to pull clothes on. Her fingers were shaking so badly, she couldn't even fasten the buttons. The video ended there. I finished watching the clip, my hand holding the phone trembling. Not from heartache for Jessica, from exhilaration. It was incredibly satisfying. Marcus messaged, "Jessica booked a ticket for tonight. She's fleeing back overnight." I said, "Understood. Keep watching." 2 hours later, Jessica called. She was crying so hard she was gasping for air. "Caleb, something happened." I feigned concern. "What's wrong?" She stammered that the project fell through. There were issues with the client. She was devastated and wanted to come home early. I said, "It's okay. If work isn't going well, just come back. I'm waiting for you." She cried, "Caleb, you're so good to me." I said, "Silly girl, I'm your husband. If I'm not good to you, who will be?" She said, "I'll be home tomorrow afternoon." I said, "Okay, I'll pick you up." She said, No need. I'll take an Uber." I said, "All right then. By the way, I invited both our parents over for a get-together tomorrow." The line went silent. Jessica's crying stopped abruptly. "Why did you invite them?" Her voice held a note of panic. I said, "We haven't eaten together in a while. Since you're coming back, it's a perfect time for a family reunion." She said, "No, we don't need to go to that trouble." I said, "Everyone agreed already. It's hard to change plans now." She was silent for a few seconds, then said, "Oh, okay then." Hanging up, I leaned back on the sofa. Jessica was panicking. She was definitely thinking about how to hide this from everyone. Too bad she didn't know. I knew all her secrets. I had evidence of all her lies. Tomorrow, when she pushed open that door tomorrow, it would be Judgment Day. Jessica sat on the plane home, phone turned off, but I knew exactly what was going through her mind. Marcus messaged, "She's been crying the whole flight." The flight attendants checked on her multiple times. I said, "Let her cry. She'll be crying harder tomorrow." At 3 p.m., I started setting up the living room. The coffee table was polished until it shone. Cushions arranged on the sofa. I laid out all the printed evidence. Photos, chat logs, room records, receipts. Item by item spread across the table. Neat, orderly, and shocking to behold. My mom and dad arrived at 4. Mom sensed something was off the moment she walked in. "Son, why do you look so pale?" I said, "Mom, sit down. You'll know soon." Dad saw the photos on the table and picked one up to flip through. His face changed instantly. "What is this?" I said, "Dad, don't ask yet. Wait until Jessica gets here." Mom tried to come over to see the photos. Dad stopped her, shaking his head. At 5, Jessica's parents arrived. Her mother walked in asking where her daughter was. I said, "She's almost here. Please sit." Her father saw the look on my dad's face and asked if something happened. My dad didn't speak, just looked at me. I said, "When Jessica gets back, I'll explain everything clearly." My cousin Lily arrived too, and my 2 college buddies, and the lawyer. The living room was full. The atmosphere was oppressively heavy. Jessica's mother looked at the assembly and started getting anxious. "What is actually going on? What are you all doing?" I checked my phone. Jessica messaged, "Almost home." I replied, "Okay, we are all waiting for you." I stood up and walked to the window, looked down at the intersection. A taxi stopped at the complex gate. Jessica got out, dragging her suitcase. She looked up toward our window. I stepped back into the shadows. Watch her walk upstairs step by step. The elevator doors opened and closed. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Getting closer. I walked back to the living room and sat on the sofa. Everyone looked at the door. The sound of a key sliding into the lock. The handle turned. The door was pushed open. Jessica stood in the entryway. The smile she had plastered on froze the instant she saw the scene in the living room. The suitcase handle slipped from her grip. It hit the floor with a heavy thud. Her gaze swept over everyone. My dad, my mom. Her dad, her mom. My relatives and friends. And the photos spread across the coffee table. Those photos where she and Gavin were smiling so happily. Her face instantly went sheet white. Her lips started to tremble. I looked at her and spoke my first words of the day. "Jessica, you've worked hard on your business trip for 2 months." My voice was calm, though it looks like you weren't negotiating a contract, but negotiating a romance. Jessica's legs gave out. She grabbed the doorframe, swaying. Her mother rushed over to hold her up. "Jess, what's wrong? What is going on?" Jessica opened her mouth, but no words came out. I picked up the remote and turned on the TV. Casting to the screen was the video of her and Gavin in the hotel room. Hugging, kissing. The intimacy was blindingly obvious. Her mother saw the video and her grip loosened. Jessica almost fell. She clutched the doorframe, shaking all over. This isn't real." Her voice was thin as a mosquito's. "It's deepfake. Someone is framing me." I let out a cold laugh. I picked up the spinning records from the table. "Is this a deepfake too? You used my supplementary card and spent $18,000 on luxury goods. Gavin bought you bags and jewelry. The transfer records are all here." I threw the records at her feet. "Jessica Miller, I work my ass off to support this family. You take my money and dress yourself up to seduce another man. Where is your conscience?" My voice echoed in the living room. Every word hammered into Jessica's heart. She collapsed onto the floor, covered her face with her hands, and began to wail. "I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me. I won't ever do it again." Hearing this, her father's face went iron gray. "You admit it? You actually cheated." Jessica cried harder. "Dad, I was tricked. He said he was divorced. I thought he truly cared about me." My mom sneered. "So you admit the affair? Even if he was divorced, you are still a married woman. That is called adultery. That is called betraying your marriage." Jessica cried that she had a momentary lapse of judgment, begged me to give her another chance. I pulled out the chat logs between her and her best friend. Momentary lapse? Then what do these texts say? I read the contents aloud. "Caleb is a broke loser, slow earner, and boring in bed. Gavin says he'll marry me after his divorce. I'm finally going to live the good life." Does that sound like a momentary lapse to you? Jessica's crying stopped abruptly. She looked up, eyes filled with despair. Her father listened to the chat logs, his expression shifting rapidly, but he didn't scold his daughter. Instead, he turned the spear toward me. "It must be because you, Caleb, are incompetent. You couldn't keep a woman's heart." He stood up, pointing a finger at me. "With your pathetic salary, you can't even afford a decent single-family home. My daughter suffered with you. What's wrong with her finding a little compensation outside?" My mom slammed her hand on the table. "Frank Miller, are you speaking human language? Your own daughter does wrong, and you try to pin it on the victim?" Her mother chimed in to help. "Exactly. Our Jessica is young and beautiful. Marrying Caleb was marrying down. He's just a programmer, slow money, no romance. Can you blame my daughter?" My mom was so angry her face turned red. "Marrying down? Did your family bring a single cent of dowry? The condo was bought by my son before the wedding. The car was bought with my son's savings. What did your daughter bring? Just her mouth." My dad stood up too. "Frank, let's have a conscience here. For 4 years, my son gave his entire paycheck to your daughter, and she spent every dime. Now she cheats, and you have the face to demand assets." Her father refused to back down. "So what? Divorce means splitting assets 50-50. Half that condo is my daughter's." I pulled out the divorce agreement. The condo is premarital property. It belongs to me. The car was bought after marriage. I can give it to her, but she needs to reimburse me for half the down payment plus the $18,000 she squandered. That's a total of $40,000. Not a penny less. Her father flew into a rage. On what grounds? If you want a divorce, you leave with nothing. Otherwise, we drag this out. Let's see who lasts longer. I laugh coldly. Then see you in court. Who do you think the judge will side with? I pushed all the evidence toward her father. This evidence is enough to make your daughter lose catastrophically in a divorce suit. Adultery, dissipation of assets, moral corruption. The judge will be disgusted just looking at it. Her mother tried to snatch the evidence. My dad blocked her. What are you doing? Destroying evidence. Her mother started cursing. You framed my daughter with all this. My cousin Lily stood up. Framed? These photos and videos are real footage. Your daughter did these things herself. How is that a frame-up? She pulled out her phone. By the way, I've already posted this evidence online. Local forum, Facebook, Twitter. The whole internet is roasting your daughter right now. Her mother shrieked. You dare. Lily smiled. Already done. Look for yourself if you don't believe me. Her father pulled out his phone and opened the forum. The post had already blown up. Title: Married woman cheats with married boss. 2-month affair on business trip. The thread was plastered with photos of Jessica and Gavin and their chat logs. The comment section was full of vitriol. Shameless homewrecker. This kind of woman deserves to be dumped. Her husband is pitiable, getting played for a fool for 2 months. Jessica saw the post and completely broke down. Delete it, please delete it. I can't live like this, I really can't. She cried, heart-wrenching sobs. I looked at her, feeling absolutely nothing. You brought this sin on yourself. You can't blame anyone else. Her father saw the online opinion and panicked too. Jessica works at an ad agency. If this makes noise, she'll lose her job. I scoffed. She deserves it. Do wrong, pay the price. Her mother lunged to hit me. My mom blocked her. You dare touch a hair on my son's head? The two mothers almost got into a fist fight. My dad and her dad separated them. The living room was chaos. The lawyer stood up and clapped his hands. Everyone, please be quiet. All eyes turned to him. He adjusted his glasses. I am Mr. Stone's attorney. Given the evidence, Ms. Miller is the at-fault party in the marriage. Asset division will favor the innocent party. Mr. Stone's demands are completely reasonable and legal. If Ms. Miller refuses to comply, we will file for enforcement. At that point, not only will she have to pay the money, but she will also bear the litigation costs and legal fees. Hearing this, her father's face turned green. You are bullying us too far. The lawyer smiled faintly. It is Ms. Miller who went too far, betraying the marriage, squandering assets. Mr. Stone has been more than benevolent. I stood up and walked over to Jessica. She was huddled on the floor, eyes swollen from crying. I looked down at her. Jessica, sign the papers. This is the outcome you earned. She looked up, eyes full of resentment. Caleb, you are too cruel. I smiled. Cruel? Compared to you, what is this? You betrayed me for 2 months. I'm just making you pay the bill. It's called karma. I threw the divorce agreement in front of her. Sign it, or see you in court. Your choice. Jessica looked at the agreement, fingers trembling. The next day, Jessica went to her company to resign. HR stopped her at the door. Jessica Miller, you're fired. The HR manager's face was expressionless. The board has decided that due to your severe violation of professional ethics and damage to the company image, you are terminated effective immediately. Jessica's face went pale. I can explain. The manager sneered. Explain what? Are the photos and videos online fake? The whole office knows about you and Gavin. The board met last night and unanimously voted to remove you. Jessica tried to beg. The manager cut her off. Pack your things and leave immediately. Security will supervise you. The company doesn't welcome people like you. Jessica went back to her cubicle, crying. Colleagues looked at her with strange expressions. Some whispered, that's her, the cheater. So shameless, and she's married. Her husband is so unlucky. Jessica lowered her head, packing her things. Hands shaking. Colleagues who used to be close now stayed far away. No one helped her. No one comforted her. She was like a rat crossing the street. Everyone wanted to chase her away. Packing finished, security escorted her out of the building. As soon as she stepped out, she was surrounded by paparazzi and netizens waiting at the door. Jessica Miller, what do you have to say about the affair? Your husband was so good to you. Why did you betray him? Do you regret it now? Flashes popped incessantly. Microphones were shoved in her face. Jessica covered her face, trying to flee. The crowd tightened around her. Someone started shouting insults. Slut, formless. You have a nerve to show your face? Jessica cried as she pushed outward. Someone tugged at her clothes. Someone threw trash at her. An egg smashed on her face. Yolk ran down her cheek. Jessica wailed in breakdown. She ran desperately, finally squeezed out of the crowd. She ran to the curb and hailed a cab. The driver saw her disheveled state and frowned. "Are you that cheating woman from the internet?" Jessica froze. The driver spat out the window. "Not taking you. Get out." Jessica was kicked out of the car. She stood by the roadside, trembling all over. Her phone rang. It was her best friend. Jessica picked up, crying, "Save me." The friend laughed coldly on the other end. "Save you? I'm trying to cut ties with you. You're notorious now. Who would dare be your friend? I don't want to get dragged down with you. Don't contact me again." Click. Jessica looked at the phone, tears falling. On social media, everyone was sharing her dirt. Former friends were cursing her. Former colleagues were mocking her. She had become a pariah. She returned home. Her parents were sitting in the living room. Seeing her come in, her father glared at her viciously. "You still have the face to come back." Jessica knelt on the floor. "Dad, Mom, I was wrong." Her mother wiped tears away. "You've ruined us. Now all our relatives and friends are laughing at us, saying we didn't raise our daughter right." Her father sighed. "What do we do now? Caleb wants $40,000. Where are we going to get that kind of money?" Jessica cried that she didn't have money either. Job lost, savings spent. She had nothing left. Her father slammed the table. "You created this mess. Now figure out how to solve it." Jessica thought of Gavin. She took out her phone and dialed Gavin's number. It went straight to voicemail. She called again, off. She sent a WhatsApp message, blocked. Gavin had blacklisted her on everything. Jessica collapsed on the floor. She had been abandoned by everyone. On Gavin's side, life was even harder. Victoria returned to the company and immediately convened a board meeting. In front of all the directors, she played the video of Gavin's affair. "Gentlemen, this is my husband, a director of this company, morally bankrupt, using his power to coerce female subordinates. This kind of man does not deserve to stay here." The directors watched the video and shook their heads. Some proposed firing Gavin. Some proposed pursuing legal action. Victoria made the final call. Fired. All equity and bonuses canceled. Everything he has in the company is reclaimed. That afternoon, security went to Gavin's office to clear it out. Gavin tried to resist. He was dragged out by security, arms pinned. He shouted at the entrance, "You can't do this to me. I gave so much to this company." Victoria stood on the upper balcony, looking down at him coldly. "You gave to the company? You were feeding your own lust. Get lost. I never want to see you again." Gavin was thrown out of the building. He sat on the pavement, shaking. His phone rang. It was other female employees calling. The girls he had harassed before. Encouraged by Victoria, they had decided to come forward and testify against him. "Director Reynolds, wait for the lawsuit. We're going to make you pay." Gavin hung up. The phone rang again. His father. "Gavin, what the hell did you do out there? The internet is full of dirt on you." Your mother saw it and fainted from anger. Gavin couldn't speak. His father sighed. "Forget it. Come back home to the country. You can't stay in the city anymore." Gavin thought of Victoria. He went home to beg for his wife's forgiveness. But as soon as he entered, he was splashed with a bucket of cold water by Victoria. "Get out." Victoria stood in the foyer, holding divorce papers. "Sign. You leave with nothing." Gavin knelt and begged. "Vicky, I was wrong. Give me one chance." Victoria laughed easily. "Chance? How many chances have I given you? Every time you say you'll change, and then what? I won't be soft-hearted this time." She threw the agreement on the floor. "Sign. The house, the car, the company's shares, all mine. Don't think about taking a single thing." The prenup was written clearly. Cheaters get nothing. Gavin remembered the prenup. Victoria's father had forced him to sign it. He thought back, then it wouldn't be used. He never expected it to be real. He had no choice. He had to sign. After signing, Victoria had security throw him out immediately. Gavin stood at the gate of the mansion, looking at the home he had lived in for 5 years. Now nothing was his. He took out his phone, wanted to call Jessica. He found that Jessica had blocked him. He laughed bitterly. So she had abandoned him too. He sat by the roadside all night. The next day, he bought a train ticket back to his rural hometown. He left in disgrace. The glory he once had was never coming back. 3 months later, the divorce case formally went to court. I sat at the plaintiff's table. Jessica sat at the defendant's. Her lawyer tried to argue. "My client did make mistakes, but the breakdown of the marriage is a shared responsibility." Mr. Stone was busy with work and neglected his wife's feelings. This was a contributing factor. My lawyer sneered. "May I ask opposing counsel, does neglecting feelings justify adultery? Does that mean all couples with disagreements can go cheat?" What kind of twisted logic is that? He presented the evidence. Your Honor, this is all evidence of the defendant's infidelity. Hotel records, photos, videos, chat logs, receipts. The chain is complete. The proof is ironclad. The defendant not only cheated but squandered marital assets, using the plaintiff's money to dress herself up to seduce another man. This behavior severely violates the obligation of marital loyalty. The judge reviewed all the evidence, face stern. Defendant, do you have anything to say about this evidence? Jessica lowered her head, unable to speak. Her lawyer wanted to argue, but facing the hard proof, there was no angle. The judge banged the gavel. This court finds that during the marriage, the defendant maintained an improper relationship with another party. This severely violates the duty of loyalty and constitutes matrimonial fault. Pursuant to relevant laws, judgment is as follows. Divorce granted. Real estate property awarded to the plaintiff. Vehicle awarded to the defendant. Defendant must reimburse the plaintiff for the vehicle down payment of $22,000. Defendant must return $18,000 of misappropriated marital funds, totaling $40,000, to be paid within 3 months. Hearing the judgment, Jessica collapsed. She slumped on the table, wailing, I don't have money. I really don't have money. The judge spoke indifferently. If you refuse to comply, the court will take enforcement measures, freezing accounts, seizing assets, restricting spending, until execution is complete. Jessica cried loudly. Her parents sat in the gallery, faces ashen. They never expected to lose so badly. Walking out of the courtroom, my mom took my hand. Her eyes were red. Son, you've suffered. I smiled. Mom, I'm not suffering. This marriage was a mistake from the start. Now that it's over, I actually feel relieved. My dad patted my shoulder. Be well. You'll meet someone better. I nodded. I turned to look at Jessica. She was being supported by her parents as they walked out. Her mother was scolding her the whole way. It's all you ruining us like this. $40,000. Where we go to get that? Her father walked with a dark face, silent. Their family had truly lost all faith this time. My cousin Lily ran over. Caleb, we won. That felt so good. I smiled. Thanks for your help. She waved her hand. Had to be done. Who let her bully you? By the way, the internet is praising you now, calling you a high-value man, rational counterattack against a cheater. Several girls have already asked to be introduced to you. I shook my head. No rush. Let me breathe. Marcus walked over. Caleb, drinks tonight? I nodded. Let's go. On me. That night, Marcus and I sat in a bar. He raised his glass. Congrats. Freedom regained. I clinked my glass against his. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. He waved it off. Brothers don't keep score. He took a sip. By the way, heard Jessica is at a small company out of town now. Salary is half what it used to be, living pretty miserably. I smiled faintly. She chose her path. Marcus continued. Gavin is even worse off. After going back home, he tried to restart his career. But his reputation stinks. He hit walls everywhere. Now he's helping out in his parents' small shop. Not a director anymore. I raised my glass. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They got the karma they deserved. Marcus laughed. Damn right. We clinked glasses and downed the drinks. That night, I drank a lot. But my heart was light. The heavy burdens pressing on me were finally lifted. 1 year later, my life returned to calm. The company promoted me because of a successful project launch I led. Director of Technology, salary $170,000. I moved out of that condo. Too many bad memories. I rented it out and bought a small apartment downtown. Modern minimalist style, every corner exactly how I liked it. No trace of Jessica. My mom visited often to cook for me. She occasionally brought up dating. Son, my colleague's daughter is nice. Want to meet her? I smiled and declined. Mom, I'm good right now. No rush. Mom sighed. You're 33. You can't be single forever. I said, when the time is right, I'll meet her. On the weekend, Marcus asked me out for a drink. We sat at our old spot. He mentioned Jessica's current situation. Heard she's doing terrible in the suburbs. Because of her internet history, she got fired from several jobs. Now she's a clerk at a small ad firm, making barely minimum wage. I sipped my drink, saying nothing. Marcus added, she still owes you that 40 grand. Has she paid? I shook my head. Paid 5,000. The rest she requested a payment plan. The court is garnishing her wages. Half her paycheck gets deducted every month. Marcus laughed. Serve her right. Who told her to be so arrogant? I smiled slightly. It's in the past. Don't want to talk about it. Marcus raised his glass. Right, look forward. By the way, heard about Gavin. I shook my head. Marcus said, after trying to start over back home, Nobody wanted to work with him because his name is Mud. Now he's stocking shelves in his parents' store, making peanuts. From a $200,000 director to a minimum wage clerk. A total nosedive. I listened, feeling absolutely no ripple of emotion. Self-inflicted. Marcus nodded. Exactly. Not worth pitying. We chatted a while longer, then got up to leave. Walking out of the bar, Marcus patted my shoulder. Caleb, you look like you're in a good place. Really over it? I nodded. Over it. Going through that made me understand a lot. Marriage isn't everything. I can live perfectly well on my own. Marcus smiled. Good. I was worried you wouldn't bounce back. I said, I'm not that fragile. On the way home, I passed a florist. The window was filled with flowers. I stopped and looked for a while. The owner asked with a smile if I wanted to buy. I shook my head, said just looking. The owner said, even if you're alone, treat yourself well. I smiled, walked in and bought a bunch of sunflowers. Back home, I put the flowers in a vase in the living room. Sunlight spilled in through the window. The sunflowers looked beautiful in the light. I sat on the sofa, looking at them. Suddenly felt incredibly peaceful. This year, it climbed out of the valley, regained control of my life. I was no longer that pitiful wretch who was betrayed. I was Caleb Stone. In the spring, the company organized a team-building retreat. We went hiking in the outskirts. The view from the peak was great. I stood at the summit, looking down over the entire city. Skyscrapers, flowing traffic. This city held my past, and it held my future. On the way down, I met a girl. She was wearing simple sportswear, hair in a ponytail, sitting on a roadside rock, looking into the distance. As I passed, she looked up at me. Her eyes were very clean. Hiking alone? She asked me. I nodded. You? She said she was alone too. Company retreat, but I don't really like the noise. Came down early by myself. I smiled. Me too. We chatted for a while. Her name was Audrey Hayes, worked at a publishing house. Liked quiet, liked books, liked hiking. We hit off. Before we knew it, it was getting dark. She stood up, said she should head back. I said, I'll walk you. She thought about it, then nodded. We walked down the mountain together. On the way, she talked about her work, about the books she edited, about her favorite authors. Her voice was gentle, very comfortable to listen to. After we got down, we exchanged numbers. She said, we can hike together sometime. I said, sure. On the way home, I got a text from her. Had a great time chatting today. Thank you. I replied, me too. In the days that followed, we occasionally met up to hike or sat in coffee shops. She never asked about my past. I never brought it up. We were like two strangers, slowly becoming familiar, slowly getting closer. Once, she asked me, do you believe in fate? I thought about it. Didn't before. Now I do. She smiled. Why? I said, because I met you. She blushed, looked down to drink her coffee, but the corners of her mouth held a smile. I didn't rush to confess my feelings. Didn't rush to start a new relationship. I just enjoyed the feeling of slowly drawing closer. Enjoyed every moment with her. No hashi, no onshiech, no peniki. Everything was just right. One day in summer, I received a notification from the court. The money Jessica owed had finally been paid off. $40,000, spread over more than a year, finally cleared. I looked at the deposit notification, feeling nothing. That money wasn't important to me anymore. What was important was that I had completely bid farewell to the past. My mom called. Son, heard Jessica paid the money back? I said, yeah. Mom sighed. That woman. How is she doing now? I said, don't know. Don't care. Mom was silent for a moment. Son, you seem in good spirits lately. Did you meet someone suitable? I smiled. Mom, how did you know? Mom laughed. A mother knows her son. You talk more lately, smile more. Must be someone. I said, there's a girl. But we're taking it slow. Mom said, good, take your time. Look clearly this time. I said, I will. Don't worry, Mom. Hanging up, I checked my phone. Audrey sent a message. Going sketching in the countryside this weekend. Want to come? I replied, love to. She sent a smiley face. Let's set a time. Over the weekend, we drove out to the country. She brought an easel and paints. I brought my camera. She painted. I took photos. The sunlight was perfect, the breeze gentle. Everything was just right. Halfway through painting, she stopped, looked at me, and said, Caleb, do you know what I like about you? I paused. What? She smiled. I like your eyes. Very clean, very open, no shadows. Even though you don't say it, I know you must have been through something. But you weren't beaten by the past. Instead, you live even better. That is rare. I looked at her, heart feeling warm. Thank you for seeing the good in me. She said, just telling the truth. As the sun set, we packed up to go home. Suddenly she said, Caleb, let's be together. I froze. She smiled and said, I know what you're waiting for, but I don't want to wait anymore. I like you. I want to be with you. Are you willing? I looked at her, a warm current surging in my heart. I am. She smiled, a very happy smile. We held hands walking down the hill. The setting sun stretched our shadows long, but we walked steadily, step by step, moving forward. That night, I stood on the balcony, watching the city nightscape. My heart felt at peace like never before. In this year and a half, I experienced betrayal, pain, and revenge. But I also experienced growth, transformation, and rebirth. I thank Jessica for her betrayal, because it let me see clearly through many people and things, and let me meet a better version of myself. I thank Gavin for existing, because his presence taught me what self-inflicted ruin looks like. I thank my family and friends most of all, for staying with me and supporting me when things were hardest. Now, I have a new job, a new life, a new love. Everything is moving in a good direction. I know the best revenge isn't destroying the other person. It's living a better life yourself. I did it. As for Jessica and Gavin, they got the retribution they deserved. The cycle of karma never fails. That is life. You reap what you sow. I stood on the balcony, taking a deep breath, then turned back into the room. Audrey sent a message. Asleep yet? I replied, not yet. Thinking of you. She sent a shy emoji. Smooth talker. I smiled. Typed, speaking the truth. She said, okay, rest early. Good night. I said good night. Putting down the phone, I lay in bed. Closed my eyes. A smile on my face. That night, I slept soundly. No dreams. No waking up in a panic. Only stability and peace. Tomorrow is another new day. And I am ready. Ready to embrace a new life. Ready to welcome new happiness. Let the past stay in the past. The future, I will cherish. This is my story. A story about betrayal, about revenge, about growth, and about rebirth. The story is over. But life continues, and I will live even better. Story complete.